All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today, it is still Arnold Schwarzenegger week, and we are discussing the movie Raw Deal, which I think Joe's more American than ever on this review. He's got his flag. He's got you got your food storage in the back.
Yeah, I'm coming to you live from my parents' pantry.
You're ready.
And I'm not sure when this is going to be released. It could be 4th of July, and if it is, I'm prepared for that.
Good. I think it's good to represent everything in case we all follow the COVID standards and we're able to get together. And if not, if Biden fails us, we have food storage ready to go.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's good you got everything ready to go. So this movie, 1980s, we're in a movie by Schwarzenegger called Raw Deal. This was right before Total Recall. This actually, I looked at, was the movie that he was doing when he first heard about the movie Total Recall.
Oh, really? So this came out before, huh?
Before. This was, this happened to be one of the few Schwarzenegger movies I had never seen.
Yeah, I had never even heard of it, but I wasn't around at the time.
But yeah, so this movie starts with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a sheriff. Now, I think just like in some of the other Swayze movies, he's the best automatically. You can tell that. I think at the beginning of this movie, he's chasing, there's a guy on a motorcycle. He's chasing this dude down, and he's going on this long chase. I mean, ridiculous chase. We're talking like over logs. I don't know who's riding this motorcycle, but it's very impressive. And he's chasing this guy all the way around. And then finally he gets smart and he like pours gasoline on the street and then takes a cigar, because he's smoking a cigar, and lights it. And now the motorcyclist, even though he could go over logs, runs over that fire, and he's like, oh, frick. And he falls down, and then he takes him in. And I like how he doesn't even stay at work. He's like, here's the suspect. And like, thank you, sheriff. He's like, I'm going home. I was like, what?
Yeah, I assumed he was a bounty hunter until they said that, because one, the extreme reckless endangerment that he put like dozens of people who were just trying to like stack logs in danger. I mean, he almost killed like many people. Also, he wasn't dressed as a sheriff, but I'm assuming he was undercover or something. And then yeah, he just like kicks him into the precinct, and it's just like, yep, I'm done. Like, I did my work today. And he arrested the guy for impersonating, and the guy was impersonating a cop. So it wasn't even like this guy, I mean, the guy needed to be stopped, but it wasn't even like this guy was putting people in danger. He literally took like $50 from somebody. Yeah. And it just seems like a better way. I mean, this is the guy who's about to get put undercover to infiltrate and capture the bad guys. Seems like an easier way to do it would just be try to get pulled over by this fake cop and then just arrest him. Yeah. But instead he leaves him on a high-speed chase where he almost killed multiple people. But I wanted to say about the opening.
Oh yeah,
that's the opening scene, which I really liked. It's pretty graphic, a little more graphic than I was expecting. There's a lot of people getting shot, and then it's, so you kind of have this like almost like Godfather feel of these like mafia people coming in to like murder somebody. Yeah. And they kill everybody, and then they get this guy on the floor in front of a mirror, and the guy grabs a gun, puts the gun to the guy's head and says, you want to be a witness this, and then he shoots him through the head. And I was like, this is like really good. I was like, right in the beginning, I'm like, this movie is like really cool.
Did you like the guy that guarded, the final cop that was guarding the witness though? Because they come in, they just take everybody out, and the guy finally is thinking like he has this gun. He's like, like he can't even like. I was like, this is the final. This is the
boss. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it went back and because it starts out with a shooting, and then the dad from Christmas Story.
So he's the hardened cop who's like, had enough. Yeah.
This, and then Arnold goes home, and this is where I feel like the movie starts to kick in. His wife is a raging alcoholic. She's the older sister from 16 Candles, like the one that doesn't have much, but she's like marrying like the Guido guy. And she's baking a cake. She's completely drunk out of her mind. She does, and she's just like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, she's so sad that they're living in this town, the sheriff, because he used to be an FBI agent, and now they've fallen on hard time, even though they live in a nice house.
Yeah, he has like a really good job.
And she gets pissed, and she throws the cake at his head, and then he says, what's the line? Oh yeah, he's like, you shouldn't drink and bake. And I was like, it's like one liner. I was like, what is happening in this?
And most of all, okay, so that I mean, really good scene. Also, apparently, while they're screaming, she writes a curse word with icing on the cake. Somehow, I don't know at what point she does that, but then like it shows her like she's passed out, and he like carries her to bed. This has nothing to do with any of the rest of the movie. I mean, this makes no difference except for one scene later when he's like falling in love with this lady, and he just happens to mention he's married. This scene, it has nothing to do with anything, and like you said, it's almost like they weren't sure what they were making, because half the time I felt like they were like, what if Schwarzenegger played a Bond character?
Yeah.
And I don't know if there was people asking that. I had never thought about that, but if you were, this movie's your fault. Like, you should be forced to watch the movie. And because we all learned together that it was a bad idea, which I assumed. I don't know how people didn't realize it was a bad idea in the beginning. But and then the other half, I feel like they're trying to make this like organized crime film where like there's this like structure, this infrastructure and organization that's running this town. And then the other half, so there's three halves in my analogy, is Schwarzenegger just driving trucks through buildings, and throwing men up into the ceiling where they just land on air vents, like just picking guys up and just throwing them up into the ceiling. So it was a very strange mix that half the time I was really entertained, and half the time I was like, I refuse to put mental energy into this to follow this story because I just don't care. You know?
Okay, so yeah, so I think the reason I had the drunk wife and everything was supposed to show that how badly he needed to get out of the situation, and he was willing to put himself things. So he used to be in the FBI, and he goes and talks to the Christmas Story dad again, who's like, "Look, I got a missing assignment for you." But first, he had to complain because he's still mad because a politician kicked him out of the FBI to put his resignation in only because they caught a suspect who was a suspect of murdering, raping, and killing a child. And he got kicked out simply for breaking half of the bones in the suspect's body. Now, this is a suspect. You never say that the guy tried to attack him or anything. He just breaks half the bones, and then he's like, and then I had to resign simply because I can't do that. And then the guy goes, well, I've got this case for you to get back into the FBI, but you've got to go undercover. So Schwarzenegger's like, okay. Now the editing in this movie is super weird at this point. It like he said something, it like does like fade to black cuts.
Yeah, and I was like, is that? I don't think that, I was like,
room.
Yeah, I was like, the camera. I was like, who's the cameraman? They're not done with their conversation yet. Like, it's like the cameraman just decided to like cut the camera at that. Yeah, and then it cuts, and they're just sitting in a different spot in the same room, and continuing the conversation.
It was like the opening scene when after they shoot everybody. It did this jump cut to the guy on the motorcycle where it says the name, and I was like, it almost broke my neck. I was like, what happened here? I think the drunk wife was editing this because it was like it happens, and then this weird editing going on, and then so it fades to black, and then Arnold decides, they don't say this.
No,
he decides to fake his own death. Doesn't tell his wife. That's the best part of this, right? And this is all just to get a job. This isn't like to save anybody's life per se. He's not like my family's in danger and I have to fake my death. No. This is just to get a better job, so he can make he can make some more money.
Again, with the editing here, they don't tell you that till after he does it, right?
Yeah.
Or did I miss it? Because he just drives in. He blows up. I mean, they spent some money on this explosion too. This thing, like, he blows up like an entire working facility. I guess he doesn't care about jobs in this town, but then he blows this whole place up, and then all of a sudden you just hear voiceover like, "Hey, sorry to make you have to fake your own death." Yeah. And you're like, "Oh, good exposition." like I could have just added that.
Why was that? I feel like there's a lot of ways you could fake your own death that doesn't mean taking down an entire town's economy.
Yeah, you could just driven that off the cliff or sunk it in a river.
So I was like, there's so many things they could do. Instead, he's like, I will tear down this entire economy and destroy everything here. So he like doesn't tell his wife. He's I mean, I know she was a drunk. That's not a question. But
he doesn't cheat on her ever though.
But yeah, he still like shows that he's loving to her by still picking her up, and he's like but then he's just like, I'll fake my own death and I won't say anything. And he goes undercover. And his first thing he has to do to get into this new like basic mafia group is to go against the competition, and he goes in there where they're gambling and just starts beating everybody up, throws everything, and then takes a tow truck, which I don't know why I don't know where he got it, but he just pulls his tow truck, and then they're like, oh crap, he drives through the building. He just like, this is just gonna get you arrested immediately. I don't think this is like and so yeah, he just drives the thing through. Yeah, well, okay. It was so the whole time I was like, whose truck is this? How does he have a key? Where did he get this truck from? If it's just a truck,
Yeah.
why is he driving through the building anyways? That isn't. There's a lot of ways he's doing everything so over the top to get attention. Everything, faking his death to get any sort of attention is just insane.
Yeah, and then he runs into this woman that becomes kind of the main romantic drive throughout the rest of the film, and she just looks like somebody's mom. I'm kind of confused, like what, like, because at first I'm assuming she's somebody's wife because she's just in the casino and he hits on her and gives her $1,000, but it turns out she's not. Well, it turns out she's the. So it seems like she has like a bad love connection with Fratelli brother from Goonies.
Yeah,
you know, like, and she says things to him like, the only way you'll be laying beside me is if we both get by the same car, and she has a lot of like witty one-liners she's thrown out. But I'm just not seeing it. Like, I'm just not sure why everybody's fighting over this lady that just looks like I wasn't sure if she was just somebody's mom there or somebody's sister.
They were trying to do, and I seriously think this, and it's just really weird in this kind of movie. They were trying to do this kind of undercurrent thing of that Schwarzenegger has this thing for women with addiction issues. She's a gambleaholic. She has all these problems with gambling. There's no other reason to be into this woman. He's got a wife at home who supposedly he loves, who he goes back to, who's an alcoholic. And then he finds this other woman who can't do this stuff. And he's like, I must help this woman and lead her on completely. Because when they're like together all the time, suddenly it just cuts. And I'm like, and then she's just like, she starts getting all pissed. I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now. Like, did I miss a scene? Like, and I'm like, well, I don't know how he didn't see this coming. I don't know what he's doing with her. I still don't understand what he's doing with her.
Yeah, she had nothing to do with anything. It wasn't even like he had to get close to her to get closer to the Fratelli guy.
No, I couldn't even tell if they were trying to say like maybe he'll cheat on his wife, but he's like this man of honor the whole time still. Helping her and do everything he can to help her. But then I'm like, I guess I feel like they needed a love interest, and to show his addiction thing. I don't
But
know.
again, what I just couldn't figure this out, because why not just make him an FBI agent and he's the best? Why complicate the whole story with this nonsensical thing with this wife who makes cakes and throws them around? I mean, the whole thing does, and not only that, but then this whole thing with the Christmas Story dad. It's like, why even put this plot into it other than you go, I just have this great idea for a final shot. And they're like, bear with me. It's the dad from Christmas Story and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I assumed this would happen one day. Someone just woke up and said, I had a dream. We're going to write a movie around this. That Schwarzenegger, dad from Christmas Story, his legs are broken, but Schwarzenegger has just inspired hope in him for the first time in his life. And they're hugging and smiling, and freeze frame, cut to black, roll credits. We're making a movie off that. And then I assume that's how he got the budget. But
I knew there was going to be a freeze frame too. When they were this is going to freeze frame. This is going to like.
This whole scene, I didn't mean to jump forward, but the whole storyline with the Christmas Story dad and his wife make no sense, and they could just edit this whole thing out and just make a normal movie. But I feel like they're like, by the time this movie ends, the heart and soul of this movie is going to be his relationship with the Christmas Story dad. And you're like, this isn't the payoff that I was looking for. Like, I wasn't like, well, but will he get back with the Christmas Story dad? And like, will they like make up or something? But I mean, it was a good ending though.
Well, yeah. So how it gets there basically is Schwarzenegger goes undercover. He gets the trust real quickly thing, and he comes in. He's like, I'm looking for a job. I'm fighting against your competitors. They're like, who are you? He's like, I'm a man on the move. We don't know anything about you. If this is any kind of underground criminal organization, and I'm looking at this from, it was run pretty much when you watch any kind of mafia movie. The head guy of this is the worst. Within 2 weeks of Schwarzenegger coming in and simply being muscle, just hurting people, He's in the room with the head guy, like the Godfather, who's shouting like, "Let's murder people and rob the FBI."
Yeah,
Like,
and just someone's got to have a cop friend who can just do like a background check on this guy.
you would think so, yeah.
I mean, the best they can do is get the lady to just give him his driver's license ID. I mean, that was the extent of their like. Well, when you go in there, like make a photocopy of his driver's license, and like that'll be all we need to really know who this guy is. He's got slick back hair.
Why in the world, if you're the head guy, the one thing about these organized crime things, if anybody can stay in business for 2 seconds, and these guys are successful, obviously, because they have a safe house with what, $500 million?
Yeah.
Sitting in a safe house that gets stolen, and it didn't end their business. So this guy is obviously making billions off of drug stuff, and he's making billions of dollars, and he's willing to break into where the police are and set up a whole thing to be able to take this. And he's owns all these people, and yet he's allowing just random dudes who are just muscle to be in a room with him, and he's directing them directly to kill and murder people.
Yeah,
that's like rule one of watching any mafia thing is, as they say in Godfather 2, like, did the Godfather ever actually do anything? Did Michael Corleone? He's like, no, there's always a buffer.
Yeah, always a
buffer. Have the buffer. That's just the rule. This guy's the worst. This guy that led the thing was absolute worst.
Well, and not only did the $500 not break him, or $500 million, they were shocked when he was like, "We're just going to get our money back." They were like, "What?" Like it was just like, well, why would we? I mean, it's like we'll just take the loss and move on. And you're like, that's way too. They have so much money. They're in control of so much. Yet they can't even figure out that this guy isn't who he says he is. I mean, and not even attempt to even look it up.
He's number 2. Like, he was put with the Fratelli's guy, who was the best, who claims to be the best.
Yeah,
the Fratelli guy, and he's put directly with that guy. They have nobody coming up.
We never see any evidence that he's the best. By the way,
no.
Like I mean, he's never even stepping toe to toe with what Schwarzenegger's doing. Schwarzenegger's throwing humans up into ceilings and driving trucks through buildings, and this guy's.
And he never does. He gets taken out. I thought there was going to be some fight between them.
Nope.
Yeah. So at this part when that kind of leads to the big thing, they decide they're going to kill the dad from Christmas Story. Schwarzenegger's not sure he doesn't realize they're going to do this, and they go into they're out in the open, just midday, going into a cemetery, and they go up and they shoot him. So Schwarzenegger freaks out, kills them. So I assumed, because he leaves, I assumed that guy's dead, right? Mm-hmm. I assumed the Christmas Story is dead.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger leaves. Now he's still an FBI agent undercover. He's not even FBI, but he's trying to get his job back. Gets his arsenal, and then just murders everybody. He goes to the rock quarry where he goes, oh yeah, bad stuff goes down. He comes driving in, he's sharpshooting people with a machine gun.
Not even attempting to like come in sneaky. Yeah, he just comes driving in, and like there's 10 people shooting at him, and they just can't hit him. And he's just he's just has a machine gun that he's waving around, and he's just just nailing every single guy. It's pretty impressive.
Everybody there. There's some cool shots. One guy falls in a rock smasher thing. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
but he murders everybody. Then he shows up to the building where everybody is, just when people, and then just murders everybody. Murders absolutely everybody in the entire room, which is cool.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah.
But here's the issue. He leaves and one of the other cops goes, I know who did this. Cut to Schwarzenegger, and they're like, I'm back in the FBI. I'm like, what? You know, he went in and murdered everybody. He didn't turn anybody in. He just murdered an entire room of people. Like, he attacked.
Yeah.
Like, nobody else attacked. He attacked. I just started imagining after this, you can go with me on the journey here, imagining Raw Deal 2, but the entire film is just him going from hospital to hospital, inspiring people to walk. And he's just going in with people that have hard times and saying stuff to them and standing on the other
Who've had raw deals.
Right?
Yeah.
We always find out their story as it's going on. And they're like, here was my story where I murdered 40 people and then got what I did. And
we need a scene, and maybe they edited it out, but of Schwarzenegger back at the FBI place, and he's sitting with the HR person, and the person's like, remember that time you broke the suspect's bones? And he's like, and Schwarzenegger's like, yeah. And then the HR guy's like, this thing that you just did where you murdered dozens of people, very similar situation, except much, much worse. You can't just murder people, suspects, and everybody in a room when you found evidence that they've done something bad. And I like the idea of Schwarzenegger really being confused by that. Just having a really hard time grasping the idea that if he realizes there's crime going on, he can't just come in with a machine gun and just mow everyone down.
And I think that's the thing. I think you would agree with this. This is what I want for the cops in real life. If I see a person that looks like they might have robbed something, I want a Schwarzenegger type to come in and just mow them down.
Yeah, we want punishers. We want punishers out there.
We want judges, we want juries, and we want them to immediately be both. And we want these people to be able to come into a room and not have to go to a judge and have to get like boring constitutional type things to be able to come in and check stuff, but to come in with machine guns and kill everybody in a room because they shot your friend.
Or kill everybody in a casino because they were gambling illegally, I guess, but now they're all dead.
So you just need to, we need to take a truck and run it through here. If it kills anybody, it happens, but it's for the greater good, and we just murder absolutely everybody. This movie was The Departed, but obviously way better. It was an undercover film that took it to the next level, where it didn't worry about, is this realistic? Should a cop ever do this? Is the man doing this actually a homicidal maniac that should never work for the police department? Is this guy just angry because his wife is just a drunk? Okay, just a person.
Well, just to recap here, he almost killed multiple people at what I assume is some type of sawmill.
Yeah,
he killed a huge group of people at a rock quarry that looked like, it didn't just look like there was bad guys there. That one machine was on, which means there was people working at the rock quarry.
There was rock quarrying going on. Yeah,
he destroyed and I assume killed most of the people at a casino. At the end, he kills all the bad guys at a different casino and destroys an entire town's economy. All within, I'm assuming this is a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, it's a very short period of time.
Yeah. And he made upwards of $25,000 while doing it.